Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Joining Wincom, we are featuring Cel-Fi by Nextivity. David Baeza will be presenting. He's a solutions architect at Nextivity, and he's going to go over a case study with you today. David, you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Thank you. Again, my name is David Baeza. I'm a solutions architect with Nextivity, and we make the Cel-Fi smart signal boosters. So what we're going to talk about today is how we can solve in-building wireless and fleet cellular communication problems. So a little bit about Nextivity. So we were founded in 2006, and we came up with our first product in 2009. So in that 3-year span, we spent a lot of development time, constructing our equipment, our patents, and delivering our first carrier-grade smart cellular coverage solution. Headquartered in San Diego, California, but we have additional offices in the UK. We have a Spain office and a Singapore office. So we are truly a global company with a global presence, and we are approved by 200 mobile network operators in 100 different countries around the world. So again, we are a carrier-grade approved smart solution. So some of the product lines that we have a mobile Go solution. We also have the industrial Go X variant of that product. And then we have the Pro and Duo solutions for home and small business applications. And then we have our enterprise hybrid DAS Cel-Fi Quattro solution. So today we'll focus on the Go product and the Cel-Fi Quattro for the middle price enterprise spaces. So, and also another exciting thing to mention is we have a FirstNet in-building solution. So we'll talk a little bit more about the Go Red as the presentation goes forward, but I just wanted to mention that as well. And then we also have accompanying accessories such as our antenna kits that are for use specifically with our smart boosters. So if you allow me to continue, we'll talk more about the Go and Quattro platforms. Now, what is Cel-Fi? So Cel-Fi is basically an internal developed smart signal booster platform. Now, what does it start with? It starts with the chipset. That is a proprietary ASIC chipset. It's internally created. And then we move on to the embedded software. So all of these components are developed in-house by Nextivity. We develop our own radios that we implement into our system. We have an antenna design team. So this is truly a soup-to-nuts solution developed in-house. We also have the antenna applications that we outsource and we create so we can provide a specific antenna package for use with our products. And then we also transition into the actual mechanical structure of our boosters. So everything is made and developed in-house. Not only do we make the hardware and the software, but we also have tools to interact and interface with our equipment. Some of those tools can be a smartphone application that can be used on the Android as well as the iOS platforms. And then we have a cloud-based monitoring tool. So this cloud-based tool can be accessed from anywhere around the world that can interact with our systems in order to monitor their performance. All right, now what is the Cel-Fi innovation? First, we start out with up to 100 dB of gain. Now, a lot of our competitors are only able to transmit at 70 dB of gain. Now, what that 30 decibel difference is, when you do the logarithmic calculations, that translates to 1,000 times more strength. So that includes increased coverage area, increased performance from the handsets using our boosters to communicate back to the tower. It also translates to lower cost per square foot. So that additional transmission power allows less hardware in the same space, and that actually gives a strong business case and gives the end customer a good return on their investment. A lot of our products, again, we take the intelligence in the design, so they're very easy to set up. So the time to market is greatly reduced using our equipment. You can be up and running with our simplest tool within minutes, and then even with our enterprise solution, you can be up and running within hours. All of our products are network safe, so that's part of the innovation that we've implemented. The carrier approval and regulatory body approval from around the world. We are guaranteed to be network safe. You can install us, across the street from a tower, or we can be miles away, and we will not harm the network. So that's one of the Cel-Fi claims, is network safety. And kind of the way we do that, again, is with self-organizing intelligence. So not only do we not interfere with the cellular towers, but we don't interfere with existing equipment inside of a business space. So whether it's wireless LAN or existing public safety equipment, we can peacefully coexist with other wireless products. So this gives the carriers and the customers peace of mind. So there's no risk to either the operator in country that we are deploying our systems, and there's no risk to the customer. So they can have a safe and reliable cellular solution. Okay, so we'll start out with the Cel-Fi Go. So this is a smart booster for mobile as well as in-building environments. Also IoT applications. So, in this image, you've got a warehouse. In some environments, you might have handheld smart devices that are meters and readers that need to communicate, back to headquarters to, be a point of sale machine, or, an industrial warehouse application maintaining an accurate stock count. So the Cel-Fi Go is a award-winning product. So, in different evaluations and in different industry events, we've presented our product, and we have won numerous awards for our innovation and performance. So as you can see, this is more of a traditional bidirectional amplifier. We have an input port, SMA connector, so industry standard, simple, ease of installation. We have an LED status indicator. Now I want to mention that this Go product is NEMA 4 rated. So you see that there's a breather that allows moisture to exit from the equipment. So this can be placed outside in freezing rain conditions. It can withstand severe dust environments. The only thing it can't be is submerged in water, but it can be mounted outside and withstand the elements. So it has a cast aluminum chassis that's powder coated, and it also has flexible mounting holes. So this can be installed on a flat surface. This can be pole mounted. And again, there's two variants of the Cel-Fi Go. One is for stationary use in a building, and then we also have the mobile use case where you can put it in a moving vehicle, whether it's a car, a truck, a train, or even a boat or marine application. So you can see the Cel-Fi Go antenna options. Can range from a fixed directional antenna. We also have indoor use antennas, whether you want an omni, 360 degree coverage, or you want a flat panel directional antenna. We also have our vehicle and marine use antenna. So a very flexible product to receive the signal and distribute the signal. Now, part of the setup, we want to make your life easy for integrators and end users. So with one of those tools is the Cel-Fi Wave application that can be installed on your smart device of choice. And with that application, we can actually switch operators. So in some implementations, they might have a dual SIM card option. So they might have a device or a modem that might have two carrier options depending on what location they're in. Or you might have different use cases throughout your fleet. You can switch the operator from carrier A to carrier B on the fly using the Wave tool. There's also a antenna pointing algorithm that we've designed to incorporate the Wave application with our tool. So we see there's an 8-position dial that separates the environment into 45-degree increments. So by testing each of these 8 positions, we can help you intelligently aim the antenna in the best direction for the best service. So you don't need intimate knowledge of where the operator towers are located. You can, go to any location and basically, with a 360-degree sweep, you can determine the best location to point the antenna. And again, that provides the best experience for your end user. And this is included with the Cel-Fi product. So this is an additional add-on. This isn't something you need to buy. This is part of the intelligence that comes with the product that you're purchasing. So some of the GO-M use cases. So again, the M stands for mobile. So that's movement, whether it's in a car or a boat. There's also some good RV use cases where they might be moving from location to location, but then they're going to stop and become fixed. So that's a good use case where we can actually toggle the mode from mobile to stationary. But again, this is a carrier, multi-carrier solution. So if you have multiple operators you need to support, we can do those simultaneously. And we support 3G, 4G, and LTE technologies. So we'll get into some of the use cases for the Go products. In this particular instance, there are public utility vehicles. Now these vehicles can be, in this particular case, they had mobile payment systems where a customer would come up and using this portable vehicle, they would have a point of sale transaction. Now, sometimes these point of sale devices need cellular connectivity in order to complete the transaction, or overall, when using one of these business locations, let's say a food truck or something of that nature, the end customer, they like to have service where they're conducting their business. So, whether it's a portable shop house or a business or a point of sale application, the Go product can be utilized to provide service on demand where it's needed. Public safety vehicles. So, a lot of mission critical applications. In this particular example, we had a European group that had a deployment team for natural catastrophes. So, obviously there's already an emergency scenario that brought the need for on-site visit from this catastrophe team. So they needed 3G and 4G communication when going into these difficult zones. Now you can only imagine, depending on the natural catastrophe, a local tower may be down, due to, some unforeseen event or some type of natural catastrophe. So they might be communicating to a tower that's even further than expected. And that's where the Smart Signal Booster comes into play to bring in that faraway signal and provide coverage as if that tower was close by. So with our system, it's ruggedized and it's powerful and it's crucial for them to deploy. And this can actually be put into a fleet of vehicles so that they have, the best chance to have service, for these natural catastrophe locations. So this is another use case where we've outfitted a fleet of public safety vehicles with our GO-M products. Go for law enforcement. So law enforcement, there's no restrictions. They don't stay on the paved roads all the time. They might need service in very unique and rural and remote areas. So in this example, they put us to the test. We had a public safety vehicle that was actually put into a rural environment to test the performance. And what we were able to actually find is, to their surprise, they were able to get 10 additional miles of service where they previously had a predefined dead zone. Now with the GO-M product, because of our self-organizing and adjustable gain, we are also able to provide coverage outside of the vehicle. So in today's environment, with law enforcement has, LTE body-worn cameras, they can stay connected and communicating for their mission critical assignments. So this is an added benefit. Not only do they get rural coverage, but they get coverage outside of the vehicle. So this has been well received. Many law enforcement agencies around the country are starting to evaluate and adopt our product as a solution for their staff. So here's a trial of a highway patrol. Again, rural area. This is in Nevada. So what does that mean for law enforcement? Whether it's being connected, being able to make and receive a call, or sending data. As I mentioned, the LTE body-worn cameras. We want to make sure that they're connected, that everyone sees these mission critical, life-saving communications. So we want to make sure that they're connected. On the left there, we can see that with just standard cell phones and traveling, there's actually dead zones. Not only is there weak service noted by the red graphical areas, but there's actually dead zones where there's no coverage whatsoever. So this is not good for law enforcement. We want to keep them connected, keep communication readily available. So by utilizing the GoM booster, we can see that we've actually filled in those spaces where there previously wasn't any service. So that's the added benefit. You'll also notice on the far right-hand side, places where there was, marginal coverage, barely any signal, we've now improved that and boosted that coverage as well. So by utilizing the GoM for law enforcement, they're able to stay connected no matter where they travel. So that's very important. It's almost, life-threatening for anyone in this line of work not to be able to communicate. All right, so some more commercial applications. This is a Go being used at a timber lodge area. So not only did they use the GoM in the vehicles as they're traveling, but we're able to use the GoX to provide fixed area location coverage. So whether it's a portable office in one of these timber areas, or if it's providing coverage outside to the workers, this particular area, they had hundreds of camps in the Great Lakes area to remove trees and use those for different purposes. So the Go product in both the mobile and the fixed application was utilized in these environments to provide coverage. Now again, you're in a timber area, so the NEMA 4 rating allows the boosters to be placed inside and outside the vehicle. It could withstand severe temperature. It could withstand, again, the NEMA 4 rating allows for wind, rain, dust, temperature. The only thing it can't be is submerged. So you can mount it outside on top of a vehicle on a wall, and it will be able to continue boosting even in an outdoor environment. Okay, so for the Go product, we mentioned, fixed use cases inside buildings. We've talked about vehicles, cars, specifically RVs, but there's also the marine application for boating, whether it's brown water or blue water, things of that nature. It can be. In this example, we have a tugboat service that was traveling up and down the Mississippi River. Now, the captain in the wheelhouse area, they wanted to maintain service. So, absolutely critical for the captain of a ship to have service. But we also found that we were able to provide service inside the tugboat, down in the bottom living quarters. So, again, maintaining connectivity for business use. In this example, we utilized our outdoor marine antenna on top of the wheelhouse area. And then we had our booster with an antenna for the captain in the wheelhouse area, as well as the service below in the living quarters. So they were very, very excited about this solution, and they deployed it amongst all their ferry boats. So with this tugboat opportunity, they were very pleased. And this is, again, just one example of the marine use cases. So we have a number of additional inquiries into this particular product line. But again, we have a marine-rated outdoor antenna that can easily fit into the existing structures on these boats. All right, buildings and remote locations. So what we've seen, sometimes there are temporary building structures, as we can see on the example there. They might have government buildings, agriculture areas, small manufacturing operations. We can also provide coverage outside with our Go solution. So, as long as we can maintain and pick up a signal from a faraway tower, we can provide service both inside and outside in remote locations. Now this includes, 3G voice applications. We can support 4G, LTE, voice over LTE. So all of the latest technologies we can support to keep people connected. Indoor coverage is about a 15,000 square foot area. We can also split that signal. So let's say you have a small confined space that has, metal or concrete walls, but you've got, 2 honeycomb locations and you need service in both. We can actually split that antenna server port and provide 2 service areas with a single Go. So it's a flexible solution. We also can support multiple operators by having 2 stationary units next to each other, and then we can provide service for multiple operators in a single location. Even with the dual systems, we are still network safe. We treat every signal and operator independent of the other. So there's no overlapping and no interference. And again, we're providing coverage for, smart devices, personal cell phones and things of that nature. This is an exciting one. This is a Cel-Fi Go used at a former NASA facility. Now, as you can see on the left, this is a command center bunker. So this was built to withstand the force of an actual rocket falling onto this building. So with that being said, they had 8-foot thick concrete walls. They had 15-inch thick window panes, so they actually sandwiched multiple glass panes together to provide safety. And they also had 6-inch steel-plated double blast doors. So, when they opened the doors, there was a little bit of signal in the hallway, but as soon as they secured the bunker, there was absolutely no service whatsoever. We were brought in kind of as a last-ditch effort. There was no solution available. There was no holes in the roof to be able to bring an outdoor antenna inside or anything like that. Again, it's a secured NASA facility. But with using the Go Smart Booster, we were able to put an antenna inside one of the reception areas by a window, and we were able to not only provide service upstairs, but both upstairs and downstairs. So this was a divided space, and we used a splitter, and they were absolutely amazed. To quote the customer, they said, "Wow, I never get messages or service in here." So as soon as we turned the system on, within minutes, phones were, receiving messages, getting email updates, voicemail notifications and things of that nature. So within this new command center where they converted it to office space, now they were able to get service to where even the operator didn't have a solution for this customer. So again, even the most challenging environments, we found the Cel-Fi Go is a good and viable solution. Again, the flexibility of the Go, because it is NEMA 4 rated, we aren't limited to just inside of buildings. So in this example, they had a tunnel underneath a freeway. And in that area, we needed to maintain service for the workers in those steel ducts. So they had no communication to the outside world, but obviously communication is critical. So by using a directional antenna, we were able to fill up that corridor, the access tunnel, and provide service using multiple Go's. And again, the directional antenna pointing into that tunnel. So another non-traditional use case where they had the cellular service need, and we were able to provide a solution using our Go Smart Booster and a directional antenna. So again, there's kind of no limit to the different types of applications. We're not just confined to buildings and vehicles. We can actually go outside into difficult, challenging environments and provide cellular solutions. Okay, this is a use case of the Go at a rural elementary school. So again, rural meaning, far away from town, probably doesn't have a tower immediately close. The unique challenge here was the school had point of sale machines. So as you can see from the image, the kids have uniforms. So not only do they have clothing that is provided by the school that the parents can purchase, but school lunches and accessories, things of that nature. So they were utilizing point of sale devices, but without connectivity. It's very frustrating for parents trying to complete a transaction. They're sitting there running their card through the square multiple times. They're wondering, am I getting billed more than once, or why is this system taking so long? I got to go back to work. So they needed a cellular solution to make that more robust and rugged. So by putting in the Cel-Fi Go, we were able to fortify that communication. The staff was extremely happy. The point of sale machines were fully operational. They were able to complete their transaction on the first attempt. Not only were the point of sale machines working, but everybody benefited from the additional service, and they had 5 bars throughout the area. As I mentioned, not only is the Go can be utilized inside, but also outside. With our 100 dB of gain, that internal antenna can actually bleed out into the surrounding area. So, we provide cellular coverage inside and outside. And for this particular school, it was a well-received solution. Again, we mentioned outdoor. So this is an RV park where this is, I believe, overseas, and they have an outdoor park. You can see it's a very beautiful location right there on the coast. However, it was down below a cliff area, so they didn't have service down in the RV park. However, there was service on top of an adjacent hill. So what we did was we combined multiple Go stationary units to provide coverage. I believe it's about 200 meters from one end to the other. So by utilizing the Go solution, even in outdoors, the result was they had screaming data and they were able to get end-to-end coverage throughout the RV park. And it was even better than they had expected. So, they gave us the solution that they wanted, but they were blown away by the actual performance. So we were able to keep all of their RV park tenants connected, which is just an added service, an added bonus, because, most people, they're used to, not having coverage. But when you can provide coverage, then they can stay connected to the outside world. They can receive those, critical or emergency calls when necessary. Okay, Cel-Fi Go Red. So this is our communication device for the FirstNet network. Again, this is when communication is more than mission critical. It's actually life or death based. So we'll talk a little bit more in detail about the FirstNet cellular network and the product line to support that. So FirstNet is a national public safety network. Now, it is not to be confused with public safety communication radios, but it is actually a cellular service that was born out of the learnings from 9/11. As much as it pains me to talk about this, one of the challenges they had during 9/11 was the multiple agencies, but not having a singular communication method or vehicle. So you might have, the fire department on frequency A for their internal public safety network, but you might have, the paramedics on frequency B. So they were unable to communicate because there wasn't a single communication. So the FirstNet network allows public safety entities to all communicate on the same network. And the Go Red product is our first product to support that effort. So it is called the Go Red, and we are part of the Safer Buildings Coalition. So this product has been designed to meet the needs as the FirstNet network is rolled out. And just want to mention, again, public safety has existing radio services that are not part of the FirstNet network. So legacy equipment does not fall into the FirstNet dedicated band. However, this Go Red product is a cellular solution for the FirstNet cellular network. So the good thing to know is that this product, again, just like the traditional Go product, has up to 100 dB of gain. So with that being said, this can cover up to 30,000 square feet within a public safety environment. And there's 8 million buildings across the U.S. that can benefit from this. So when first responders go in, we want to make sure that they've got communication before they even enter the building. And it's good to know that the Cel-Fi Go Red can work alongside existing equipment. So if they do have, those legacy radio services, per FCC guidelines, we can all coexist. So we don't interfere with them and they don't interfere with us. We can coexist. But the Go Red is required for FirstNet cellular repeating capability. And this can also be deployed as a portable solution. The first responders can actually bring a system with them. It can be battery powered, and they can set up a donor antenna, pointing towards the tower or back towards town, and then they can also point another antenna in the service area. So it can be fixed inside of a building. It can also be provided as a portable radio communication system for the first responder. So again, there's flexibility with this product. Again, it's NEMA 4 rated, so it can be mounted in a place where it can be exposed to the elements. It can also be mounted outdoors. Again, the only limitation is that it can't be submerged. Okay, so this is a graphic of a Cel-Fi Red deployed in a building that has, split levels. So again, let's say there's a, concrete material, something preventing the penetration of a single donor antenna. We can actually split the output to have 2 uniform covered areas so that we can maintain coverage inside of a building that might have, in this case, split floors, where you need coverage in both areas, and we can actually do that by the use of splitters, and we can maintain a single donor or pickup source and then a single repeater or booster, and then split the output. So again, you can utilize your smart device with the pointing app and then optimize the donor pointing application and pickup location. Okay, so that is the completion of the Go example. So we talked about the Go Mobile, the Go Stationary, and then we also highlighted the Go Red for the FirstNet network support. So now we'll get into the Cel-Fi Quatra, which is a very exciting product. It's an active DAS hybrid solution for the middle prize applications. Want to highlight middle prize. Now that constitutes buildings from, as small as 30,000 square feet up to 200 and 500,000 square feet. Buildings in that middle price where a 6-figure DAS solution might be too expensive for this middle price space. So we feel we have a product that meets the needs of this market. Again, Cel-Fi Quatra is award-winning for the industry and for the class. We have outperformed our competitors, and we've been seen and awarded for our innovation and design. The Cel-Fi Quatra can bring the signal in off air, so we can utilize the macro and macro network as the donor source. But we can also use a small cell as a signal source and create what I like to call, or we like to call, a supercell. Now, why do we call it a supercell? Well, a small cell coverage footprint might only be, 30,000 or 40,000 square feet, but we can take that same small cell, have it feed our Quatra system, and then expand that beyond 200,000 square feet. So that 200,000 square foot coverage area from the small cell is what we call a supercell. So it's just, again, one of the advantages and creative applications of our Quatra system to be used with an existing solution in the marketplace. Again, just with all our boosters, we can support 3G, 4G, and LTE coverage, also voice over LTE. It's very, very easy to deploy. One of the things that makes this product unique is between the transmitters or the coverage units and the network unit, we use all digital Cat5 solution. So we don't use a very lossy coax cable. There's no, link budget calculations. Is the run 200 feet or 100 feet? How many dB per foot loss am I going to get? By using a Cat5 digital cable, we are lossless. We use power and cellular over Ethernet. You still get 100 dB of gain from each of our transmitters. So again, 1,000 times stronger than our nearest competitor. We can have the small cell tethered mode, which we call the supercell mode. And the Quattro solution, it can support a single operator or multi-operator implementation. So here in North America, we cover the top 4 carriers. And then not to mention, we also have a cloud NMS or network monitoring service through the Cel-Fi Wave for easy management. So you can, tie in the Cel-Fi Wave management to monitor the system. You can provide that as a service. You can also, share that with, IT departments. They can put the booster system on their NOC, and they can actually monitor the performance. They could be notified, if there's any, outages. Let's say we're pointing to a tower and the tower goes down. They can be notified, adjust the antenna direction, and then they're back up and running. Okay, now these are the core elements or the hardware that constitutes the Cel-Fi Quattro. On the top left there, we have the network unit, and this is the control unit or the brain of the equipment. This basically connects to all the components. So the first thing it does is it connects to the donor antenna outside. It also connects to the cloud through a LAN connection. And then using those same Cat5 LAN Ethernet cables, it connects to the CUs or the coverage units. So those are small boxes that are similar to a Wi-Fi access node, so they blend in very well in the corporate spaces. They can be attached to ceiling tiles, they can be attached to walls. And with the LAN cabling, the standard distance is 100 meters for an end-to-end connection. We can extend that an additional 100 meters using our range extender. So this is a proprietary solution, the range extender. So you can't use an off-the-shelf, PoE injector or anything like that. But we can provide up to 200 meters or 650 feet of distance between the network unit and the coverage unit. On the right there, we have our small cell configuration. So we have the small cell there on the bottom, which probably has, a high output power, 3 watts, 5 watts, something of that nature. So we use a small cell interface or a SCIF to actually attenuate that signal down. So we'll bring that to a safe usable level. We'll input that into our network unit, and then we'll redistribute that same small cell signal. So that's how we basically implement our supercell. Now this is a look at the Wave Portal platform. So this is our network-based monitoring system. So it's accessible from the cloud. You can access it from any connected device, whether it's a laptop, a desktop, or a smart device. At the highest level, we have a dashboard, which is a glanceable overview of any alarm notifications or any new systems that come online. You can instantly see that it's available and ready to be commissioned. Once commissioned, you can see the location on a map, so we can see all of our North America deployments. So for your particular customer or fleet, you would see all of their deployed devices on a map. This also can assist with any carrier investigations. If they want to see what boosters are available in a certain area, they can monitor those as well. On the systems and sites, you have an overview of all of the systems at a particular location or within a particular account. And then, for me, the meat and potatoes of this is the actual data. So with our ASIC chipset, we are able to decode all of the over-the-air signals similar to a handset. So not only do we give you just a raw signal reading, but we can decode the over-the-air messaging, determine what the cell ID is. We can also measure the network signal quality. So again, we don't just read the raw RSSI, but we can go down further into the RSRQ value, the signal to noise ratio, the EC over I naught for 3G signals. So we can actually tell you what the signal quality is. And then you can also monitor the gain or performance of the booster in a given space. So very valuable, monitoring tool, real-time connected. And I believe this is, the only one of its kind in the repeater class. So Cel-Fi Quattro. So a lot of your customers are probably going to be, integrators, and we made this product to basically make their lives easy. Hopefully the hardest thing they'll have to do is search out customers that have cellular in-building challenges. Once they identify, where those buildings and customers are, we have a BOM estimator tool. This is available on our website, and it will help customers determine how much hardware do we need based on the square footage of a floor space, also based on the building material. Is this an open air warehouse? Is this a hollow cubicle walled area? Or is this, kind of like a bank vault or a basement where they've got, cement walls between the floors and between the rooms? So by taking that information in, we can give the integrator an estimate of how much hardware he'll need. You can also go as far deep as you need to, and you can use IBW to model the performance based on a building's actual structure and material. So we are IBW compliant. We have VEX files and templates that you can use with the platform. But again, not necessary, but if you wanted to, or if you had to submit IBWave designs for pre-approval, we support that as well. Again, Cel-Fi Quattro, it's an all digital solution, so we don't have to do any link budget calculations or anything like that. The system self-optimizes and self-organizes. We also utilize our antenna boost aiming tool to make setup completely easy. So you don't need intimate knowledge of the RF environment. You don't need a pre-existing cell site database from the operator. You can go on site, and as long as we have signal outside, we can bring that same signal into the building. Okay, so let's look at some of the use cases for the Cel-Fi Quattro. So this is a look at the 211 headquarter business office here in San Diego. So before, there was absolutely no coverage on 2 different floors. So in the above panel, we can see there's a lot of deep red and dark red areas where it's very difficult to maintain or even place a phone call. I think we've all had those environments where you get a voicemail notification, but you never heard the phone ring to miss the call in the first place. So, very frustrating, makes communication a challenge. Each floor was about 25,000 square feet. So we see, the first floor on the left and the second floor on the right. And with 2 coverage units, we were able to provide adequate service throughout the entire floor space. So you can kind of see how the radiation from those coverage units extends beyond that floor space. And I wanted to note in this slide, on the right-hand side, we see that the antenna is actually inside of the building. So some of the tenants, they might be, temporary tenants of a building. They might not be the building owner, so they can't necessarily, drill holes through the walls, or they might not have roof access from their middle floor. That's fine. We are flexible enough to put the antenna indoors in the area of the building where we do have service, and again, radiate that throughout the building floor space. Okay, this is an example of a newspaper agency in Washington, D.C. That will remain unnamed, but they had spotty coverage and they were getting drop calls, and they had an 8-story, 350,000 square foot facility. So one of the problems reported to the integrator was that reporters actually had to go outside of the building in order to make their calls. So not only does that reduce productivity, but it creates frustration for everyone involved. So by utilizing the Cel-Fi Quattro, We were able to, provide service inside, keep everyone at their desk, maintain connectivity, and keep them nice and productive. So the passive DAS that was already in place just wasn't powerful enough to provide service. So they had to bring in the Cel-Fi Quattro to solve that problem. So very, very excited and for this opportunity to increase the coverage for that customer. Okay, big box retail stores. So we've seen a number of different applications, whether it's a grocery store, a home improvement stores, pharmacies, retail locations, shopping malls. Cellular coverage can have a different number of needs, whether it's a point of sale device or whether it's a shopper accessing a digital coupon on their smart device, or even price checking out on the floor space. You might have a barcode reader or QR code reader application on your handset, and you might want to price check. Do I want to buy this product from here, or do I want to go to another retailer? Or even in the case of my wife, if she's been tasked to buy wine for a party, but she doesn't know which wine is good and which one is bad, she can actually, pull out her phone and start reading reviews, before making a purchase. So the Cel-Fi Quattro in one of these, big box retail stores prevents any type of dead zones, eliminates any type of communication problems. So for these large spaces, one solution that we captured was an 8NU 32CU solution, so a large area, and we were able to fill up the entire space and improve coverage, not only for the customers, but for the point of sale devices. Sometimes they might have a failover, to their fixed lines, so we want to maintain that cellular coverage even as a backup. Okay, federal law enforcement agency buildings. So in this particular example, one of our integrators was contacted, and they had a federal agency that had 10 locations ranging anywhere from 30,000 up to 240,000 square feet. So this is a good example of the entire middle price, range or spectrum, from 30,000 up to 250,000 square feet. We also want to mention this was one of our first examples to use both over-the-air applications for some buildings and then a small cell signal source for other areas where, let's say they had a basement penetration point where there was no signal to begin with. So we needed to incorporate the small cell to create the signal, and then we distributed it using the Cel-Fi Quattro. So this law enforcement agency was very pleased by utilizing our solution, and it actually, we started out with 10, and that has grown even within this own company or within this own agency. And then again, good news spreads fast, so more and more agencies are taking on our products. So not only the law enforcement facilities, but government buildings in general. By this icon, you can see, this is a fairly dated building. Looks like it was probably built in the 40s, very thick concrete structure. So inside, it's going to pose its own challenges. Number one, the cellular signal can't penetrate from outside to inside. So that's number one. But inside, for this particular location, we learned a few things. One of the things we learned is that you can have floor-to-floor penetration, which allows us to kind of alter the placement from floor to floor of the coverage units. So you can see in the alternating floor example, you can benefit from some of that floor-to-floor bleed-through and penetration. On the walkthrough map on the right, I want to note that in the before grid, you see the red area on the bottom left. Afterwards, by having that transmitter in that deep dark green area, we were also able to penetrate through those corridors of that concrete structure. So the concrete walls in this scenario actually help create, service tunnels where we could extend all the way from end to end using a single transmitter. So those interior concrete walls actually helped us bounce the signal and fill up those spaces. So again, a lot of good applications and use cases, but this has been well received, by the different, government agencies and entities. For this healthcare example, want to note that, in healthcare environments, with different technologies that are used, whether it's, lasers or radiation, a lot of times the wall material is constructed such that it protects the rest of the hospital from what's happening inside this room. Not only will the techs, have protection area around them, but we don't want any of that, signal or, whether it's lasers or radiation to bleed out. What that also does is it prevents the cellular signal from coming in. So in this healthcare example, they actually had an existing DAS solution, but that signal wasn't penetrating the room. So by using the Quatra digital solution, we were able to provide coverage inside of these lab areas. So they maintained connectivity, and then the hospital maintained their safety around the different equipment. So again, this gave them peace of mind because they know that it works, and it worked very well. And it was safe in this environment too. So not only with hospitals, healthcare facilities, doctor's office, we had a nursing home example. So visitors can maintain connectivity. You can also communicate with your elderly loved ones. So as long as they're stay connected, you don't have to get routed to their voicemail when you call them. Just want to note on the right, we can see the the ease of installation, the way that we can coexist with existing telco rooms and tech closets. This is a 3 network unit solution. We were able to bring the signal in, and with a single antenna source, we were able to feed all 3 network units to provide service throughout this large nursing home space. Okay, so this is a look at an oil and gas corporate office. So not only are we able to utilize some of our other products for outdoor oil and gas environments, but within the corporate office. So this was a 2-floor building that had 40,000 square feet, and they had no cellular coverage inside. And that was actually business impacting. So the company's top salesperson couldn't make outbound or inbound calls, or the calls were dropped. Very frustrating, and is bottom line impacting. So by putting in a Cel-Fi Quatra system, we were able to provide service to the entire area, and it was able to deal with the noise quite a bit. And it was able to provide service. So this speaks to the strength of our product and the quality. Again, business critical. Universities. So we've been deployed at a number of universities throughout the country. So we can't name them individually, but at a lot of these universities, they've got maybe existing DAS systems to cover outside areas, but within those same locations, there might be particular buildings, such as admin buildings, libraries, research, or even a single department building that needs service that they're not getting. So Cel-Fi Quatra has been deployed in a number of these locations. Throughout universities, across the country. Apartment complexes, a lot of high-end apartments. Part of the leasing decision by the tenants is whether they get service or not. So even though they might be looking at the apartment, the square footage and things of that nature, they're also looking down at their phones to see what the service is like inside. And we've actually heard of conditions where people have refused to lease an apartment because they can't make calls. So in one scenario, we outfitted an apartment complex with Cel-Fi Quatra. We asked the potential tenant to make a call. They refused because they knew they couldn't make calls before, but we still asked them to try, and they were amazed that they were now able to make a call and very pleased. Again, it helps the tenants that are there as well as potential suitors. Hospitality retrofit, again, this is a scenario where they had an existing BDA DAS upstairs, but it didn't penetrate into the basement subfloors. So we provided a Quatra solution to keep their tenants engaged. In this case, large ballrooms, a lot of visitors, and you want to maintain that connectivity. So I'll start wrapping up my presentation here, and then we can field any questions. In addition to an existing building retrofit, we are also being brought in and the construction phases. So once our solution has proven itself to a customer or an integrator, now we are starting to get designed into the construction of a building. So this is very exciting. We're actually at the construction level with a lot of these new facilities coming up. A lot of Fortune 500 companies. So, a lot of big companies are utilizing our service, our products to provide coverage, in different facilities throughout the country, even in their remote facilities in other parts of the world. So it's very exciting to have, the large, social media search companies and e-commerce and chip manufacturers, even in our own backyard, utilizing our products. Open warehouses, we have a lot of success, filling up space where they have, monitors and meters and the need to be connected. Large warehouses, again, this is a distribution center out in the Midwest. As you can see, there was absolutely no coverage prior to the Quattro being placed, and we were able to fill up the entire distribution center, 376,000 square feet, with our Quattro system. So, very exciting to provide solutions. Again, another warehouse manufacturing facility. A lot of times the construction material, whether it's a metal roof, is just RF blocking. So, you have to keep the doors open or you have to walk outside to get coverage. In this scenario, they actually cut the cord on their fixed lines and converted everyone to a BYOD environment, but they didn't have cellular service. So they were pretty desperate for a solution, and the Quattro filled in just nicely. Potential parking garage application, safety issues you want to maintain, coverage even when people are getting out of their vehicles and going into parking structures. So we were able to provide service in an underground parking. So again, there's no limit to the applications and use cases, whether it's inside, outside, hospitals, hospitalities, grocery and retail stores, schools, distribution centers. The list is too large to name right now, but as you can see, there's a lot of opportunities for cellular coverage needs to be solved with the Cel-Fi, Quattro, and Go products. So if there's any questions, we can go ahead and field them now. Thanks again for letting me present the Cel-Fi Smart Booster product line. And if there's any questions, we'll go ahead and field those now.
Yeah, great job, David. We've had several questions along the way, and some of them I think it's good to put out to the general public. There was some questions around GoX, and that would apply to Go Red as well. What sort of temperatures have we experienced that product in? I know the answer, and I've answered this outward. I think you know the answer as well. If you need help with that, I can let you know. But I think you know what sort of ranges of places from a temperature point of view has the product survived in.
No, that's a great question. So I'll start with kind of the low end, most extreme. We've had equipment installed actually outdoors in Alaska. So those are way below zero temperatures, where our system has been deployed and maintain its functionality. The customer actually utilizing the Cel-Fi Wave application was able to monitor the temperature of the booster using the smartphone application. And they were able to verify that, the booster with its electricity going through it is actually able to maintain a temperature, that was warmer than the outside ambient air. So that's kind of the cold extreme. We've also done, desert tests in, Arizona and Nevada. So I think we've covered, kind of the high temperature extremes and the low temperature extremes. And we've had success with the boosters continuing to maintain in both those extreme environments. So from, the high end, upwards of 120 degrees, all the way down to, 30 below.
Next question was, they saw you talking about the Go Red, but they are not sure about the availability right now, and they're just wondering, when is that product available?
That's a good question. I believe we are, correct me if I'm wrong, Dean, maybe about 6 weeks away from commercial deployment. Is that a good estimate?
It's in the end of November is what we've committed it to on that one. So that's that one. And then on Quatra, you mentioned it a little bit, but maybe explain a little bit more about the supercell and what that idea is.
I love this one. So basically the supercell is taking the existing coverage footprint of a small cell, which is only 30 to 40,000 square feet. So if you had a single small cell, it would only cover 30 to 40,000 square feet. By taking the same output from that small cell, we tie it into our Quatra system, and we can expand that to 200,000 square feet and beyond. So the output of the Quatra from the small cell is what we call the supercell. So you can take your existing investment and broaden the distribution range of that single small cell. So if you have a small cell and it only covers 1 or 2 floors, we can fix the problem of covering the remainder of that particular building in that example.
All right, the rest of the questions, we answered one off. We have come to our end time. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. And thank you, David and Wincom for hosting this and just having the opportunity to talk. Actually, we're getting some very last minute questions here that let me, so there are some questions around multi-carrier and how multi-carrier works with the Quatra 2000. If you could answer that one.
Absolutely. So with the Quatra 2000 family, we have separated into dual operator pairs. So again, we cover the top 4 operators, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint in North America. And then we combine 2 operators for each system. So if you wanted all 4 carriers, we would have a Verizon AT&T Quatra 2000 product. And then we would put a parallel T-Mobile Sprint Quatra 2000 solution next to it. So the 2 and 2000 stands for dual operators. So we would combine Verizon and AT&T on one system and then Sprint and T-Mobile on another. And that would cover all 4 major 4 operators in North America.
All right, so we really have run out of time and the session's going to end, but we will answer any other follow-on questions one-on-one. There will be a recording of this session made and shared afterwards. So for those that want to share with their teams, or indeed, any of those that actually missed it, we can go ahead and put that out. And we'll advertise that to all that signed up, and of course, post it on social media from both Wincom and Nextivity. So again, thank you, everyone, and thank you, David, and thank you, Wincom.